Okay, let's start the today's session. So any question from the last class? As I've already uploaded the lecture material on the file section in general section, so you can refer to it. If not, next we are going to, I have written extreme points in direction. So polyhedral set has a lot of importance, in the study of, if you remember, which is a convex set, and it has a lot of importance in terms of linear programming. I mean, most of you have studied linear programming. We have studied simplex method, but how exactly it works can be based on the convexity. Hello, is based on the convexities in the convexity of the set. Actually, it works. If you remember any linear program, I'm just drawing two dimension. Okay, so extreme point was of importance, and that's what we have seen that if we move from one extreme point to another extreme point, we will have a solution, and that makes the simplex algorithm awesome. That you do not have to evaluate every point in this set. You just need to evaluate the extreme points, and that's also given the objective function structure. It's slow. We can move in the right direction. So the underlining mathematical theory behind this simplex or LP is lies between the convex sets only, and more precisely polyhedral set. So we are going to study two things here: extreme points and extreme direction, which actually is the basis of simplex algorithm. So first we'll focus on the extreme points. So point X in a convex set. I'm talking about in general convex set, but that is related to polyhedral set. I will give some example. A point X in a convex set S is called an extreme point of X of set S if X can be not be represented as a strict convex combination of two distinct points in set S. So what I mean is, suppose I draw a structure like this, a polytope like this. Okay, let me call it X1. So can you represent X1 as a, we have already seen that any point in a, when I say closed means it is bounded from all the region. When it is not closed, it is called unbounded. Like suppose if this link is missing, it is unbounded. So let me just talk about the closed set right now, or compact set. So this point X1, can it be represented as linear combination of, convex combination of 2 points?
No, sir.
So all the extreme points you can see cannot be, but as per the definition, we say that any point in a convex set can be represented as, convex combination of 2 points. But extreme points being special cases, mathematically we can write, suppose if x equals to some lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2, the way we represent the convex combination of points in a convex set with lambda belonging to 0, 1 and x1 and x2 belonging to set S, then it is extreme point only if x equals to x1 equals to x2. That means it cannot be described as a combination of two distinct points. Is this a, are these two extreme points?
No.
No,
You
sir.
can always describe as combination of any 2 points in the set. So that's why they are not extreme points. So only this one is your extreme. Okay, so another example could be, let's say S equals to x1 comma x2, x1 square plus x2 square should be less than equal to 1. Suppose this is a set. Okay, what does it represent?
Circle.
Circle, points inside and on the circle. If I want to describe its extreme points, where does the extreme points lies for this circle?
Equal to 1.
Circumference.
Very good. So whenever this is true, these are extreme points. So if I draw a circle, the points on the circumference are the extreme points. Any other points inside can always be described as convex combination of other points. A simple linear programming one, suppose S equals to x1 comma x2. I'm giving the winter class example only. 3x1 no. X1 is less than equal to 4, x2 is less than equal to 2x2 is less than equal to 12, and 3x1 plus 2x2 is less than equal to 18, and x1 comma x2 is greater than equal to 0. So what would be the extreme point for this one? How do we find? You just need to draw the graph. More precisely, you need to see the intersections. So this line is 3x1 plus 2x2. It is towards the origin. X1 is greater than 0 in this, x2 is greater than 0 in this direction, x1 is greater than 0 in this direction. This one is 2x2 is less than equal to 12 or equals to 12, I will put, because I'm drawing a line here, and this one is x1 equals to 4. So my extreme points are these intersection points. So I can write x1 comma x2. I will get 0 0 transpose comma, this will be 0 6, this will be 4 0, this will be 2 6, and this will be, this is 4. So if I put 4 here, this is 12 minus 8, 6 3 3 comma 4. Just check if it is right. Right?
Sir, 4,3.
Sorry,
4 3.
4 3, sorry. 4 comma 3. So this is how we describe extreme point. Now,
Sir,
yes,
sir, in definition you wrote like the extreme points cannot be written in the convex combination of other 2 points, no sir?
right.
Means in that combination, the 2 points are other than extreme point. Means as you written like x is equal to in upside. Sir. Can you scroll down, sir?
Okay.
Scroll up, sorry.
Yeah.
Here x is equal to lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2.
Yes.
So whenever we kept lambda equal to 1, then we can get x is directly
Yes.
equal to x1. So in this
Yeah.
way, the Sir, in here we can write x1 as the convex combination of two distinct points, no sir.
Right.
It's like x. So other than x1, we need to write with other 2 points, or else x1 can be included.
Saying that it is extreme point only if x itself equals to x1 or x2. What does it?
Okay.
What do you understand by that?
Okay, directly if lambda equal to or 1 or 0, it directly x equal to x1 or x.
Right? Or if you just put lambda equals to x1 itself, okay, it will come out to be x equals to x1 or lambda equals to x2 equals. You do not even need to define what the value of lambda is. So what it is saying that when you are trying to do a complex combination, you cannot use any other points other than the extreme points to describe itself.
Okay, okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. You know, the most interesting part of these extreme points is I said that extreme points can only be described by itself. Next statement I'm saying, any point in
হ্যাঁ
the convex set.
আমার অফিস চলছে
Abhijit, can you mute yourself? Any point in the convex set S can be represented as convex combination of the extreme points. This is one of the important results, that any point in the convex set S can be represented as convex combination of the extreme points. Are you able to see that? Any point you pick. Let's say, let's call it some x, and these are your x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. So this convex set is defined by 5 extreme points, and what I'm saying that any point in the convex set S can be represented as convex combination of the extreme points. Is this correct? Look at it carefully.
No,
I
sir.
mean, let's say if I take a point here, I can describe it as a convex combination of these 2 points or these 2 points. If a point is here, I can describe it as a convex combination of these 2 points. So does that make sense? Any point in the convex set you can see. Is this clear, guys? Any questions?
So intuitively, like joining the two extreme points in the, and making a line and then taking any point in that line, it is easily can be visualized. But like, if you take any other random point, then like how to understand like
That
can
is, see, you guys are, advanced degree students. You need to look beyond what I'm teaching, right? If everything I start spoon feeding like second year, how would you know? Tell me how X you will define such that it is a convex combination of extreme points.
we have to experiment a little bit.
Chalo, experiment karo. Otherwise, how you will learn? Do the experiment. All of you, try to show me that X is a convex combination of the extreme points.
Sir, maybe more than 2 extreme points we can use.
Was that?
Harshit.
If you remember convex combination, I have said lambda j xj, right? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Summation lambda j xj.
Yes.
And we say the sum of lambdas is equals to 1 and lambdas belong to 0, 1. Right? This is what convex combination is.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, if I want to show this X is a convex combination of I can easily write it as in terms of lambda 1 x1 plus lambda 2 x2 plus lambda 3 x3 x equals to plus lambda 4 x4 plus lambda 5 x5. The only issue is to know what are these lambdas, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So as Akshat, you were going with the, I will draw a line and see how you can do this.
Sir, I can try to give one intuitive answer to this.
Abhijit, let's use pen and paper and then we will discuss the intuitive answer. Okay.
Okay, sir.
पहले मैथमेटिकली कैसे करना है पहले देखते हैं. So let me help you with one thing. Let me draw this line y. Now can you do it? No, sorry, not like this. Let me draw a point x I'm interested in, and I draw a line like this. This point is y. Now can you visualize it? I'm interested in defining this x as combination of all the extreme points. I have drawn a line. It is extending and it is giving me a y. So x is a convex combination of y and x4. You agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Y is a convex combination of
X1,
So,
X2.
x1 and x2. So if mathematically, if I put suppose x equals to lambda y plus 1 minus lambda x4, where lambda belongs to 0, 1, and if I define y as let's say some mu x1 plus 1 minus mu x2, again mu belongs to some 0, 1. So if I replace y with in terms of x1 and x2, what should I get? Lambda into mu x1 plus 1 minus mu lambda x2, right? Lambda into 1 mu into x2 plus 1 minus lambda x4. Does this make sense? Now, what is one more thing we need to ensure? So I'm defining x as a convex combination of lambda.
Summation of all these coefficients is 1.
Is it 1?
Yes, it is 1.
It is a 1. Now we also need to ensure that lambda mu, lambda into 1 minus mu and 1 minus lambda is between 0 and 1. So is lambda mu between 0 and 1? is
Yes, sir,
lambda.
because lambda is also from 0 to 1.
So all of them will be automatically between 0 to 1. That's what I wanted to highlight. And if you sum them all, lambda mu plus lambda 1 minus mu plus 1 minus lambda, you will see it will come out to be 1. So it is satisfying. So any point in the convex set S can be defined as the convex combination of its extreme points. Right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
चलो एक दूसरा एग्जांपल देखते हैं. Let's say set S, a convex set S is x1 comma x2 such that x2 is greater than equal to mod of x1. Tell me how many extreme points it has. How many extreme points we have for this convex set?
It's a cone, so it will be only 1, 0, 0.
So we will get a cone at the origin, right? Now, is the earlier what I have said that any point in the set can be described as the extreme, convex combination of extreme points? Is it possible here? Suppose if I put a point here. This is your set S, right? Is it possible now? If I put a point here and ask you to represent it as a convex combination now? Not possible, right? Because I just have one extreme point. So what I have discussed earlier is only true for bounded or closed set. That if it is a bounded or closed set, we can represent any point in the convex set as the convex combination of extreme points. But when it is an unbounded set, extreme points alone cannot tell you, it cannot give you convex combination of extreme points. So to deal with it, what we have is a notion of extreme direction. So for unbounded set, we cannot use extreme points to represent any point in the set. So we have notion of what we call extreme direction. So before I get into the extreme direction, let me first tell you what is direction of convex set. Any questions so far? In non-zero vector D in Rn is called a direction or a recession direction of S if a convex set has some, for S, always believe it is a convex set, if for each X belonging to S, X plus lambda D belongs to S for all lambdas greater than equal to 0. Read this line carefully. In non-zero vector, D in Rn is called a direction or recession direction of S if for each X belonging to set S, X plus lambda D belongs to convex convex set S for all lambda greater than lambda. Further, two directions D1 and D2 of S are called distinct if D1 is not equals to alpha D2 for any alpha greater than 0. So this is direction of convex set. Now coming to extreme direction. In direction D of set S is called extreme direction if it cannot be written as positive linear combination. Please note that I am writing linear combination and not convex of two distinct directions. So same as the extreme point. So if D equals to lambda 1 D1 plus lambda 2 D2 for lambda 1 comma lambda 2 greater than 0, then for extreme direction we will have D1 equals to alpha times D2 for some alpha greater than 0. Amit Kumar Singh, are you able to join? Does anybody know Amit Kumar Singh? Guys, you can see this class in your calendar, right? I'm just trying to help one of the PhD student who is new.
No, no, I'm not able to see it in the calendar.
It is in our calendar, sir.
It is in your calendar?
Yes, sir.
But sir, yeah, this is a bit. I can't see it in the calendar. I just follow the timings.
But still you have to somewhere join now. Where do you get that link?
In Teams, whenever this link is activated, means it shows that it is somebody has opened the
Can
meeting.
you please go to your calendar and see if there is a
So you have to add it in calendar. Sir has sent the link in our Teams. So go to each and individual link and add it into the calendar. It will be automatically added.
okay, anyway. So let's try to understand what the extreme directions are. I will take this example again, this because we already have one. So this is my set S. Okay. for the code which we have discussed earlier. Luckily, we are at the origin in this case. Just keep in mind, whenever we talk about direction, we normalize it. So by normalizing, we means that the norm of each direction is equal to 1. So if you look at it, if I move in this direction of this convex set, will it satisfy your x plus lambda d or not? Whatever that direction is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me draw some more directions. Call it this one as D1 and this one as D2. So as far as direction of the convex set is concerned, all the direction which I am showing are the directions. You agree? If you do x plus lambda d, you will still be in the set. That means you are not leaving the set. Now look carefully at the two directions which I have written as D1 and D2. Are they extreme directions?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All of you? Any direction other than this, if I try to draw, I can write it as a convex combination of these two directions, D1 and D2. Not convex, sorry, linear combination of these two directions. But if I try to write D1 as linear combination of any other, it is not possible. It has to be D1 equals to some alpha D2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in this case, we can say Dn, D1 and D2, which is, if you look at, we already know x2 is, what's the difference? X2 is greater than equal to x1. This is the set we are talking about. What are the values of D1 and D2? Can you tell me? What is the angle at which it is inclined?
45.
45 degrees.
Right? So 45 degree का direction क्या होता है? In first quadrant and the second quadrant?
Sir, 1 by root 2, comma 1 by root 2.
Yeah, I mean when I normalize it, but ऐसे देखोगे तो सिर्फ 1 1 and minus 1 1. I'm giving the direction directly, not the normalized one.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you further normalize it, it will give you. But any other, whatever direction for this convex set you will try, it will be within 45 degrees. The only these two directions will be your extreme direction. Let's try to understand now extreme directions and extreme. So consider a polyhedral set. S, which is minus 3x1 plus x2 is less than equal to minus 2. Minus x1 plus x2 is less than equal to 2. Minus x1 plus 2x2 is less than equal to 8. Minus x2 is less than equal to minus 2. And x1 comma x2 is greater than equal to 0. Go ahead and find the extreme points for this problem, and then we'll discuss extreme directions. What are the extreme points for this problem and whether it is a bounded set or unbounded set. But before I proceed, what is the direction of a bounded set? Extreme direction of a bounded set?
No direction.
Towards center.
What is that, Bethlehem?
Towards center.
Abhijit is saying no direction. Can you convince him? Can you convince him that there is no direction for bounded sets?
Okay, there is no direction because as per the definition.
No, I'm not asking you to convince me. I'm asking
Okay.
Bethlehem to convince you that you are wrong.
Sir, like if you go towards center, whatever we
What we
take
have?
them,
Just a second. What we have for extreme direction? X plus
lambda d.
lambda
X
d.
plus lambda d.
This should also belong to the set, and this is my
Yes.
set.
And for all lambda.
Okay,
For
sir.
all
Lambda. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
So do we have a direction for a bounded set?
No, sir. No. If lambda is greater than what we need, then it will be go outside of set. So it may be not possible to have direct.
So for all of you, we do not have a direction or this is a direction for a bounded set. We have direction for unbounded set. Okay. Clear?
Yes,
Akshat?
sir.
Yes, sir.
And that is why this extreme direction is important, because when it is a bounded set, I already know that I can, represent every point in the convex set with that extreme points. But if it is unbounded, I cannot do that, and that's why we need extreme directions.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me. Hello? Are you able to find, guys? Guys, are you with me or am I disconnected? I cannot hear any voices.
Yeah, we are with you.
Okay, so these are the three extreme points possible, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's make participation more easy. Tuhin, can you hear me? Tuhin Atta. Tushar.
Yes, sir.
Tushar, is it a bounded set or unbounded set?
With unbounded, sir.
Unbounded. Eh? So we cannot explain your what do you call extreme points in the convex set using the extreme points. So we need to find the extreme direction. How do we find the extreme directions?
Sir, along the directions of the boundary, there are the extreme directions. So we have to like use the equation lambda plus like.
Okay,
it
so
is a
we
linear combination
use,
of the two.
we need to define this, right? So if this is a point x0, then we need to write
Yes, sir.
x as a x plus lambda d. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we'll write each equations as minus 3x1 plus x2 plus lambda minus 3d1 plus d2 less than equal to minus 2. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Do we need to write every equations like in this form or not to find the directions?
Yeah.
All of you agree? Whether what we are doing is correct or not to find the direction? So necessarily what we are doing is, suppose there is a direction d1 and d2 as in this case, and there is a starting point x0. So we are saying this x0 is nothing plus x1 plus lambda d1 and x2 plus lambda d2. So I'm putting x1 and x2 as x1 plus lambda d1 and x2 plus lambda d2. Is this clear? So you can write each of the equations like this. So this will lead to, next equation is minus. Can somebody read out equations for me? Minus x1 plus? Can you please read out the inequations for me? Otherwise I need to scroll up and down every time. Nobody wants to help me?
Minus x1 plus x2 plus lambda minus d1 plus d2 is less than equal to 2.
Thank you. What is the third one?
Minus x1 plus 2x2
Okay.
plus lambda into minus d1 plus d2 is less than equal to 8. Plus 2d2. 2d2, sorry. Less than equal to 8.
What is the next equation?
Minus x2 plus lambda into d2.
Minus d2.
Minus d2, sorry, less than equal to minus 2.
And last one is x1 plus lambda. These are non-negativity constant. x2 plus lambda d2. Now from here, we need to find equations from d1 and d2 to find that d1 and d2. So Tell me, how do we do that? Our x plus lambda d should be belonging to S. If x plus lambda d should be belonging to S, what can I say about this component in this equation? Should it be greater than 0 or less than 0? Should it be greater than 0 or less than 0?
It should be less than 0 because it is less than equal to -2 for all lambda. So it has to be negative.
Good. Similarly, d1 plus d2 in the second equation should be less than equal to 0. Minus d1 plus 2 d2 should be less than equal to 0. What about the first, second, third? Minus d2 should be less than equal to 0. What can I say about these two equations? d1 should be?
d1, d2 greater than equal to 0.
It has to be, because we have defined d1 and d2 to be greater than equal to 0. Now we'll add one more constraint here, normalization constraint. d1 plus d2 should be equals to 1, so that I will put the directions in here itself, not there. Okay. So can you draw these constraints in here and tell me what is your extreme directions? Draw these constraints at the origin, because we have already used d1 plus d2 equals to 1. So I will draw that constraint for you easily. So d1 plus d2 equals to 1. That is the normalization constraint. I'm drawing it here. Okay. Draw other constraint. Give me the directions. So what is the most important thing about this four equations? In fact, these three. Where do they pass through?
Origin.
All of them
Origin.
pass through origin, right? With different slopes only.
Sir, here x1 and x2 are extreme points.
No, I haven't said that. x1 and x2 are any points.
Sir, then why in second equation minus d1 plus d2 is always less than or equal to 0? Because it can be like minus x1 and x2 can be 1, and plus lambda into some greater thing also can be less than or equal to 2, no, sir? For suppose like example x1.
Tell me, I'm all ears. This is I already know this is what? From the equations, minus x1 plus x2. What do we know about this one?
Okay, it's already less than or equal to. Okay, sir.
This is how the polyhedral set has been defined, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, even though it is possible, no, sir, means like minus x1 plus x2 is less than or equal to 2 given. For suppose if I took like 1 for this thing, plus lambda into some minus d1 plus d2 can be greater than 0 even.
Who can help me explain it to him?
So I can try to help. Is that so the equation is minus x1 plus x2 plus lambda into some content. Okay. Now, if for all our definition is it is true for all lambda, not for a single lambda. Since it is for all lambda, if the lambda into something, if that is negative, then only it will satisfy less than equal to 2 for always. Otherwise, there can be a scenario for a lambda, it may go beyond 2 if it is not less than equal to 0. That's why it has to be less than equal to 0 for all lambda and to satisfy for all points less than equal to 2.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I was thinking for only one lambda, means it should be satisfied for all lambda. Yes, sir. Yes.
What I have seen, for all lambda it should satisfy, otherwise it will go outside, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. I was thinking for only one. Okay, sir.
You have to satisfy for all lambda, otherwise
Great.
it may go outside the feasible region. I mean, this convex set space.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. I'm confused about D1 and D2, sir. They are both extreme vectors.
What are directions?
D1 and D2 are directions.
Yeah, directions are vectors or scalars? Yes.
So, sir, D is a vector or D1 and D2 both are vectors?
D is a vector. D1 and D2 are the component of it, right?
Okay, sir.
See, when I'm putting this D as this one, I'm just looking at it as maybe two-dimensional. But yes, D1 and D2 will be, giving you some angles, right? Like in this case, when I put D1 equals to 1, 1, what does it tell? What is the angle?
45 degree.
So this is what D1 and D2. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can draw these curves. What I want to show you is these are the 3 curves all through the origin you will find. Okay, and the direction for them is in here. This one goes in this direction, and this one in this direction. Now, if you look at the intersections of all this, what you will find, D1 equals to 2 by 3 and 1 by 3, normalized one, and D2 equals to 1 and 0. So these are the 2 extreme directions possible. Now, if you take any point, let's say I want to get a point X. So what I need to do is think of it as 2 extreme points. Sorry. How do we define a third? Okay, let me draw another picture. Suppose I want to describe a point for unbounded set. Let's say this is how my set looks like with the 3 extreme points x1, x2, and x3. And here are my normalized direction vector D1 and D2. Okay, so these are the 3 points in which I want to show. Now, if I have to define a new point X, so X in this direction, so what I will do first, I will try to find a Y and then use the direction. So X can be written as Y plus some mu times D2, where mu is greater than 0. Now Y is a convex combination of extreme points, so I can write lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x3 plus mu d2. Earlier, it was not possible for me to define a point in the convex set using the extreme points, but even for unbounded set, every point in the set can be represented as convex combination of extreme points plus a non-negative linear combination of the extreme direction. Okay, does this make sense? How we can represent any point in the unbounded set, in the convex set, using linear combination of extreme points plus extreme direction. But this is only required if we have an unbounded set. Otherwise, as long as bounded set is there, we can always, use the extreme points to define all the points. So why I have told you all this? Because all of you have studied LP. Well, I hope you remember some of it. We have said, okay, we'll formulate a problem and then I will do the simplex algorithm, and that will be ensure that I have reached the optimality, right? But how do we prove that optimality condition exists in linear programming? And that is being used, that is described using extreme points and extreme direction. So optimality condition in, I'm not going to go back in linear programming, but I will tell you what we have studied as a method there. What is the genesis of it? From where it has been proved that optimality condition of linear programming exists. There are more theorems on top of that. I'm just giving you this theorem. Suppose I want to minimize C transpose X subject to AX is less than equal to, AX equals to B. When I'm saying AX equals to B, it is accommodating all the slack and all kind of variables. It is not that it is an equality constraint, because at the end we solve the equation, not inequations. So all the slack or surplus or artificial variable has been added to it. That is what we believe. And X is greater than equal to 0, where C is n vector, number of variables and their cost coefficient. A is M cross n matrix of rank m, and B is a M vector. Suppose that feasible region is not empty, and let x1 to xk be the extreme points, and d1 to dl be the extreme directions. Of the feasible region. When I say feasible region, it is convex, otherwise it will not work. A necessary and sufficient condition for a finite optimal solution is that C transpose direction vector j greater than 0 for all j 1 to L So a necessary and sufficient condition for a finite optimal solution is that this quantity C transpose Bj, the direction vector multiplied with the cost vector, should be greater than or equal to 0. And if this condition holds true, there exists a extreme point xj xi that solves the problem. So this is the optimality condition for linear programming, and based on that, all the stuff which you have studied, how it works and all that, it is basis is your extreme points and extreme directions. More you can study on your own. I will not enter into the linear simplex part, but yes, if you want, you can see now you understand extreme directions and extreme. If you remember, what is the maximum number of what do you call corner points possible or extreme points? What is the maximum number of corner points possible for linear programming?
NCM.
MCM.
How do we get that NCM?
Number of variables and number of constraints.
I'm sorry.
The variables and the constraints.
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat again?
So by the number of the variables and the number of the constraints, the combination of it gives the extreme number.
So why it gives you the number of corner points or extreme points? See,
it should be NCM.
What's that? MCM1 is 1, right?
NCM.
Yeah, it is NCM. I mean,
NCM because
we can say that the number of extreme point of S is finite, and that is the biggest results or corollary we need to use to show that a solution exists and we can solve it easily. And we provide it is as NCM. So n factorial by m factorial n minus m factorial, where n is number of variables or dimensions, you can say in this case, and m is number of constraints. So generally, if you remember, there is a technology matrix and there is a basis matrix, right? Remember that? Technology matrix is coefficient of x1, x2, xn in the constraint and the slack variables. From here, we choose our basis. Suppose if there are m constraints, how many basic variables we can choose? If there are n variables,
Plus or minus.
I'm sorry?
Plus and minus 1.
Okay, let me explain with a small graph. Suppose the simple one, x1 is less than equal to 4, 2x2 is less than equal to 12, 3x1 plus 2x2 is less than equal to 18. And of course, x1 and x2 greater than equal to 0. And of course, there is some maximize g equals to something is there. So when we convert into an equation, it is x1 plus s1 equals to 4, 2x2 plus s2 equals to 12, 3x1 plus 2x2 plus s3 equals to 18. These are the slack variables. So total how many variables we have now? We started with 2 variables, 3 constraint problem.
5
Now
variables.
how many variables we have?
5 variables.
5 variables. So our A matrix is, which we put it as A comma I, not A comma I, sorry. A matrix is, if you remember revise simplex, A matrix is generally consists of these variables 1, 0, 3, 1, 0, 3, 0, 2, and 2. Right? We append it with, slack variables I. Identity matrix for slack variables. You guys remember this or not? Tell me first. This is the total setup. From here, we choose the basis matrix. Basis matrix only consists of the whatever is the basic variable at that time. So if there right now we have 1, 2, 3 constraint and 5 variables. How many of them can be basic variables?
3.
3. For each constraint, I can have maximum 1 basic variable to it. So my basic matrix will be 3 into 3. So what this represents is maximum number of possible ways to choose m columns, that is the m basic variables of A to form basis matrix. Because suppose in this iteration 1, 2, 3, these 3 are your basic variables. In fact, not sorry. Let's say when we start the simplex 1, 2, 3, these are my basic variables. Then in the next one, it could be this, and this is your basic variable. So the maximum number of possible ways to choose m columns here from A to form B is nothing but NCM. And that's why we can have a finite number of extreme point for a linear programming problem. And that is the basis on which we have developed a simplex algorithm. Does that make sense? I have asked you guys to look at the, brush up little bit of your linear programming. So any questions with extreme directions, extreme points, and then how it is used to prove the optimality condition of linear programming. So if there are no questions, then we'll move to the export PDF sites. Am I exporting it around? Just give me a second, guys. Let me upload it. Otherwise, if I forget, sending me emails. IM 6002 class materials. It is generally in the class materials, no? I cannot see the earlier folders. Anyway, lecture 3. Okay, do you guys want a break or you want to continue? Natak hai bhai.
So we want break.
It should be okay. I will not trouble another 20 minutes and I will leave by 11:35. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. That is okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
That
sir, that
always
is okay.
works. That always works. Okay. Okay, Abhijit, only 20 more minutes. 20 minutes hardly.
Okay, sir. Not a problem.
So convex set I'm wrapping here. in the book you can see there's a lot of explanation. I have tried to put it in a concise way and try to present to you. So you can read the book and you see most of the hyperplanes, supporting planes, everything you can find there in more details. So you can read to augment your knowledge. This is taking so much time. Okay, in the meanwhile, when it is cannot export file, this is what cannot be open. This is what I face most of the time when I'm trying to upload. Okay, I wanted to ask if it is possible for you guys. So right now we have classes on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. If you guys have some slot where I can get 2 hours, I can cancel Monday and Thursday 1 hour class in the evening or afternoon. How is Monday or Wednesday evening for you guys, or afternoon from 2 to 7? How is it placed?
So Monday and Tuesday in the afternoon, I have classes of English for technical writing.
Monday and Tuesday you have classes?
From Monday from 3 to 5 and Tuesday 2 to 4, I have English for technical writing class.
Okay. What about
Rest
other
of-
people? How is Wednesday placed for you guys?
Sir, I will have to do recorded classes only because I'm working.
No, I mean in lieu of see, either you can attend Monday 12 to 1 and Thursday 8 to 9. What I'm saying, those 2 hours, if you give me another slot on Wednesday between 2 to I'm even fine after 5 to 7 is fine for me.
Sir, Wednesday, it's fine, sir. Wednesday 2 to 5 or whatever.
No, only 2 hours because Tuesday 2 hours I will take, and I want another 2 hour session.
See, Professor, yeah, here are so many people. It is very difficult to get a answer at this moment. What I can suggest is that you can schedule a.
Abhijit, there is no problem. There are MF students, they are PhD students. So if anyone has a problem at a time slot, they can say yes or no, right? So if it is okay, otherwise we will continue as scheduled. So I will just post a suggestion there. Wednesday, if you are available between 2 to 4 or 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, say yes or no. Otherwise, we will continue as it is. Monday, we'll discuss 12 to we'll meet 12 to 1 and Thursday 8 to 9. Okay. Okay. Next.
Okay.
So Wednesday is fine for me, sir. I have.
Okay. MF students, do you have anything?
No, sir. Like for me,
Sir,
Wednesday is
every
fine.
week you are going to schedule?
What I'm saying, instead of Monday and Thursday class, I want to cancel Monday and Thursday class for the whole semester, and instead of that I will take a 2 hours class on Wednesday anytime you suggest.
Sir, second half is problematic for me because of office, and first half is okay. I'm anytime.
Okay, that I guess solves the problem. So we'll continue with what schedule we have. If needed, I may schedule some extra classes here and there. Okay, thank you. Okay, next topic we'll start is convex functions. Convex functions. Okay, so next topic we will starting now is we have understood convex set, and now we'll look at convex functions. So convex function by definition let a function f is defined from S to E1 or R1, whatever you say, where S is a non-empty convex set in En. Is said to be convex on S if f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 is less than equals to lambda fx1 plus 1 minus lambda fx2 for each x1 comma x2 in set S, and for each lambda belonging to 0 comma 1. Okay, so a function f defined over set non-empty convex set in En, and the resulting value is E1, that means one dimensional. So you may have n dimension, the output is scalar. The function f is said to be convex on S if this holds. Okay, if this condition holds, we say that the we say that that the function is convex. Now we also have some more definitions here. That is f is strictly convex. So based on whatever you have studied, whenever I say strictly convex, what does that mean?
Equality symbol does.
Huh?
Equality symbol does not.
Strictly convex means lambda.
It becomes a equality. So function f is called strictly convex on S if the above inequality is true as a strict inequality. That means this is not less than equal to but equals to for distinct x1 and x2 in set S and lambda 0 1. The function f in S to E1 is called concave or strictly concave on S if minus f is convex. So it is interesting, we do not have anything called concavity theory. We only deal with the convexity theory, and minus of that represents the concave. So strictly convex on S. So what we discussed so far, let's try to understand graphically what we are trying to achieve here. So suppose convex function and let me use another line. So I have x1 here and x2 here. This represents, just little careful with the position. This is the connecting line. This is your fx1. Hold on. So based on what I have written on the top, that f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2 less than equal to this, what do you think? Whether the
Sir,
yes.
sir, I have one point.
Yeah.
Is that the point fx or the curve at which it is crossing at x is fx? Because that is not f. F is below, isn't it?
Which one you are talking about?
That you have drawn one curve, right,
Yeah.
sir? And the x1 point is on top of the curve. X2 point is also on top of the curve, but fx is not on top of the curve. Fx is the point where the at curve at the point of x.
Yeah. Actually, this is the fx2. I will put it differently. Right. Okay. Is this okay?
Yeah, this is okay.
Okay. Is this fine?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me call it f of x. Okay. So, what this statement says, f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. That is, functional value of convex combination of points should be less than equal to the convex combination of the functional values. So what we are trying to do here is these 2 points x1 and x2. Let's say that gives you a point x, which is lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. Okay. Now the functional value for this point, which is f of x, is f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. This is that point, f of lambda x1. This is nothing but your x. Okay, what it's saying that the convex combination of 2 points and its functional evaluation will always be less than the convex combination of this point, which is lambda fx1 plus 1 minus lambda fx2. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So any function where the convex combination of functional values is greater than the functional value of convex combination, we say that the function is convex. That is what we are trying to present, and this term is also called Jensen's inequality. So any function that satisfies this relation, we call it is a convex function. Is this clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here I'm taking, first I will again explain. These are the 2 points x1 and x2. I took a convex combination of these 2 points, which turns out to be x. I look at the functional value at point x. That was f of lambda x1 plus 1 minus lambda x2. Now I took 2 points on the function. This is fx1 and this is fx2. And I did a convex combination of these 2 points. So resulting point will be somewhere over here. So what I'm saying, this point will always be above this point, then we say that it is a convex function. Is this clear, guys? Any questions? Anyone? So if there are no questions, then we will just draw one more curve. Maybe two. Is it a convex function?
No, sir.
So by the Jensen's inequality, if you try to check, if you take the functional values of these two, the resulting value will be coming here, but the convex combination of points will have larger value than the convex combination of the functional value. So that's why it is nothing but a concave. If you go by structure also, if you do a minus f, it looks like this. What about this guy? Is it a convex function?
No, sir.
It is not a convex function. If you try to join these 2 points, it will satisfy on this part, but it will not be satisfied on this part. But if you define the boundary conditions, you can define it as a convex and concave. So, but as far as the whole function is concerned, you say neither convex nor concave. Let's look at one example. Just a second. Amit, it is audible. Check your system why it is not audible.
Audible now, sir.
Audible है? Okay.
Yes, sir. अभी audible.
तो हर चीज के लिए मेरे को ही परेशान मत करा करो दोस्त, कुछ चीजें अपने एंड पे भी चेक कर लो.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So let me add some pages. Insert pages. Okay. So if I ask you example, is an affine function, or also call it linear function, convex or concave? What can you say about the linear function? Suppose I describe that linear function is f of x summation j equals to 1 to n c j x j, where lambda, no, yeah. Can you mathematically tell me whether it is a convex function or concave function based on whatever you know about the concave and convex function so far? Yes.
So it can be both at the same time.
It can be
both at the same time.
It can be both at the same time. How do we show it, mathematically based on Jensen's inequality? So as long as we are studying this convex function, and until unless we go to the advanced part, whenever I ask you to show something as a convex function, first thing you need to assume is there is a point which is convex combination of 2 points. So let me define a x is some lambda y plus 1 minus lambda z. Okay, let me find some 2 points which belongs to the set, and then you need to see that this f lambda y plus 1 minus lambda z is less than or equal to the convex combination of the functional values. So try this and show what happens. Show me what you will get. So we have to somehow show that it is lambda fy plus 1 minus lambda fj.
Sir, it is coming that only, sir, like lambda times of fy plus 1 minus lambda times of fz.
Good. So all you need to do is can we write it like this? F of lambda y plus 1 minus lambda j in terms of this function fx.
Yes.
And then if you rearrange, you will get lambda summation j equals to 1 to n cj yj plus 1 minus lambda summation j equals to 1 to n cj jj. This is nothing but lambda fy. This is 1 minus lambda fj. Now, because of this equality, that is the best part about the affine function. When we are trying to prove something, as per our convenience, we can say it is convex. If I want to use it as a concave function, I can show it as a concave. So it is both convex and concave. This linear function or affine function are both convex and concave. Depending on what is your need, you can use it as a convex, you can use it as a concave. इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल कहाँ पे मिलता है हम लोग को? We used it as sometimes convex, sometimes concave. Linear programming we maximize and minimize, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? जब हम लोग linear programming करते हैं तो sometimes we are maximizing a linear function, sometimes we are minimizing a linear function. So that is because it can be treated as both convex and concave. Yes, Akshat, you were trying to say something?
No, sir, I am agree with the point.
Okay, thank you. So some of the examples you already know: x square, e to the power x, x to the power 4. So these are some example, or x to the power alpha is not necessarily depends on alpha. So these are some example of convex function. What about x cube? Is x cube a convex function?
No, sir.
You will see that there is both convex concave part if you try to do it. Okay. Some of the interesting properties of convex functions. Let f1 to fk in n dimension to 1 dimension be convex functions. So fx can be written as summation of alpha j fjx, where alpha. Priti, Babu team is a convex function. Fx max of f1x, f2x, fkx are also a convex function. So given all these f1 to fk are convex function, a linear combination of convex function is also convex. Max of convex function is also convex. If you do not agree with me, then prove it is not. Or it might come in your exam to prove this. Is that okay? So I've already given you exam problems. Okay. So I'm just giving this example. We'll maybe solve it next class, as I promised that by 11:37 I will leave. So just one example, I will just write it. We'll discuss it next class, or you guys please try to solve it, and then we will discuss it in the class. So suppose there is a function h which in r into r be a convex function, and let g, this is 1 dimension to 1 dimension function, be a non-decreasing convex function. Consider the composite function. These kind of examples are very helpful when you are trying to prove. Suppose you have formulated some problem and you want to show that the composite function is a convex or not. So these kind of examples really help. Okay, so there is this function h is n to 1 dimension, a convex function. Then there is a function g which is 1 to 1 dimension, non-decreasing convex function. So it is increasing convex function. Now you are considering a composite function f which is in n dimension to 1 dimension and is defined as g of hx. Now you need to show that f is convex. So use the property of convex, use the property of non-decreasing convex function. Whenever, at least as I said, whenever we want to use Jensen's inequality, keep in mind that we have to start with taking two distinct points, define its convex combination, and somehow show that its functional values, the convex combination of functional values will be greater than that. That's all we need to do. So any questions? Any questions, guys? If you have any questions, I will try to answer that. Otherwise, we'll meet on Thursday, 8 a.m. Okay, seems आज overload हो गया. So I will stop the class here and we will meet on Thursday. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, sir.
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 Thank you. I'm not uploading this one right away. I will upload it on next class. So if you want, please note down this problem. Please note down this problem, example which I have just written. Because once I discuss this part, then I will upload this lecture. Okay, I hope you have all of you have copied this problem.
Yes, sir.
Screenshot whatever you want. I will upload after solving this problem. I will upload this lecture.
Sir, today was my first lecture. I joined today only. How many lectures I'm lagging behind?
You can see it if you go to your files folder.
Okay.
On the Teams channel. Can you go there?
File folder. Yes, sir.
Can you see lecture materials?
No, I will check.
Class materials.
Class material. Yes, sir. It's channel files.
Can you see different lectures that have been uploaded here?
Yes, sir.
Apart from that, I think recordings are also available, but they are there only for, I guess, 10 to 15 days. After that, Microsoft removes it.
Okay.
So if you want, you can download the recordings. I'm not sure how long they keep the recordings.
It's 2 recordings are there, 5 days ago and yesterday.
One recording will come today. So altogether, you will have 3 recordings. Either you download it or save it on your OneDrive. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, guys.